Alright, peeps, you know what's up. You saw talent from the six. You know we had to get the rest of the world in the mix. The urban franchise, Tony Montana. Gonna sit at the desk for guessing. Show you what they're about to. Tell you who they are. Let them promote what they got going on. And show you guys how awesome they are. Cause if they weren't awesome, they wouldn't be on the show. It is Down to Talk with Tony Montana, baby. We have the most, and 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 we have the most. What is going on, peeps? It has been a while. Happy New Year. We took a little holiday break, but we are back. Not in the studio today. It's a virtual edition of Down to Talk with Tony Montana, but we still have some awesome guests today. We have for you a rapper, an actor, a movie producer, one of the big up-and-coming names in Toronto, Martin Huss. Thanks for joining us, Martin.
No worries. Thanks again for having me.
So why don't you tell the peeps a little bit about yourself? What are you doing right now, and what got you started in the game?
Yeah, for sure. So my alias for music is Husslaah, just my last name with an Laah. So with that in itself, I've always been like my friend has always kind of nicknamed me that, even though it is a play on my last name. But since I was 19, I've never really had less than 3 jobs anyway. So that's kind of always been my thing. So I felt that that was a good kind of alias to use. Aside from that, music-wise, music has just always been in my blood. I know a lot of people say that, but for myself, like I do a lot of impersonations and imitations and stuff like that as well, musically and acting wise. I used to host karaoke back in 2012, 2013. So I'm just used to all these different genres, and that's what kind of really helps my music to move along as it does. So a lot of times, like you would hear some of my songs, and it'll seem like it's one complete genre, and then I do another song, and it seems like a completely different genre. So it was funny. At one point, I was pitching for a grant, and I was asking my friends. I was saying, so if you were to put me under a specific genre, what would you say? And most of them, they would take like 2 to 3 minutes, just like I don't know. Well, I mean, it's hip hop, but it's rap. It's obviously you got the reggae vibe there, and so when I introduce myself, I say I'm a reggae infused rapper because you hear a lot of reggae intonations in there.
Yep.
Kind of thing, because that's primarily what I grew up on, mostly old school reggae. Came along with a lot of the new school stuff, but my dad was also a DJ way back when. So when we came to Canada back in '94, that's a lot of that stuff is what influences just my styles today.
Right on. So, where do you say that you're the first one to coin that phrase, reggae infused rapper?
I don't think I've ever seen it anywhere, but I don't want to credit myself to be the first one. But I haven't seen it yet, so.
Okay, one of a kind. That's always a good way to stand out when you have a title that no one else has. So, what has been like your biggest influence? You talked about your father being a DJ. What was his name, if you don't mind sharing it? What was his legacy?
It was Mystery Sound Crew, even though it has nothing to do with his actual name, obviously. But Mystery Sound Crew, he played at a lot of parties and events and stuff like that. He didn't try to go too big with it because he primarily used a lot of his equipment for personal use, but obviously for friends, relatives, and stuff like that, he would play out a couple different venues and stuff. But yeah, so he was Mystery Sound Crew. We used to help him lug all the big Serwin Vegas and whatnot up and down the basement stairs. So that was the physical memory from it, but the musical memory, it was obviously always awesome. Getting used to mixers and vinyl records and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. And then so it's funny because when I retain something, it's always the things that most people. I don't even know if it's useless for a lot of people, but for me, it's like music, lyrics, acting, monologues, all that. It stays with me. Everything else, I'll ask somebody their name, and 5 minutes later, it's gone. But yeah,
wow.
so most of the songs, so most of the songs that he would play, like it's still kind of all up there, like the lyrics and whatnot. So that helps tremendously when I was hosting karaoke, right? Because I already kind of know all the words, so people look at it as more of a performance than me just they're attempting to sing a song for the first time.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
There is so many. It's anything Sean Paul, or depending on how many drinks I've had, I would do "Look at Me Now." So
Oh,
at the
right
start of
on.
the night, they'll look at me now with obviously the Busta Rhymes and whatnot.
Yeah,
But it's funny because I know a lot of people attempt that song, but
yeah,
the clarity is not there. The enunciation is not there, and there's just
yeah,
so much slurring, right?
yeah.
So I find that I do it a little bit different from most. Another
Uh-huh.
one of my prized songs is "Informer" by Snow. So that
Oh,
one,
right
because
on.
a lot of people try to figure out what he says, right? So he throws like a lot of, I mean, I call them crap words, but it's just a lot of just fillers to make it
Yeah.
sound really fast,
Mm-hmm.
right? So one of the examples I like to give is like for just the chorus, right? Because if I ask anybody, they say they have no idea what he says, right? So
Yeah.
he says, "Informer, say daddy miss no them I go blame. I lick it boom boom down," right? So
Yeah.
obviously you know that Daddy Snow is who they're going to blame, and then
Mhm.
it's literally like him just trying to be all thuggish and gangsters by saying like, "I'll kill you, boom boom, and you're dead," but it's "I'll
Yeah.
lick you, boom boom, and you're down, you're dead." Like that's literally just
Oh,
the metaphor that he's trying to use for that, right? So,
yeah.
but then he throws the crap words, and so it's just like informer, say that I miss no damn I can't blame. I lick you boom boom down, you take no money, must have said that I miss no mistake. So, right? So it's just
Yeah.
the Daddy Me Snow instead of like
Yeah.
Daddy Snow, like it makes it a lot faster and stuff, right? So, yeah.
Right on. So, like, where did you host karaoke? Any notable
So,
places?
yeah. So, I was primarily at the place. It was at Dufferin and Sinclair called Chateau at the time, and then they changed it to Tantra Lounge, and then they changed to a couple other names. I also hosted at O'Grady's on Church, another place on Queen and Roncesvalles, and then there was this Jamaican place by Oakwood and Eglinton. I can't remember the name though, but that was a good one because it was a good mix of
Yeah.
crowd, obviously. So um it wasn't always the same songs, like it wasn't always Oasis, or
Yeah.
or your Metallica and whatnot, which are obviously
Yeah.
all good. Like those are a lot
Yeah.
of my go-tos, or even like Smash Mouth, love
Yeah.
that. Rick Astley, love that.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, it's a nice different vibe. So it
Right
was
on.
always awesome that way. Yeah.
What is the craziest or the coolest story from your days hosting karaoke?
Hosting karaoke. Well, actually, you know what? One of them would be so at the place that I primarily hosted at Dufferin and Sinclair. So with that one, they were trying to. They've had previous hosts before and whatnot, so they were trying to like build more clientele. So the instruction from the owner was always, obviously you gotta sing like the whole place is packed to try to draw people off the street because it's a storefront. But he also had me do a little bit of DJing as well because I had like some equipment and stuff. So he just like, sing a song and then like, DJ a couple songs and then sing a couple more kind of thing just to bring in the crowd and stuff. So when people started showing up, I would play a song and sing a song and play a song. So the notable part was, I just said like I do impersonation. So I was singing Akon's "Don't Matter." So I sang that, and then I played another song, and then I sang a Sean Paul song, and then I played another song. So then he
Yeah.
comes over and he's like, "So are you gonna sing tonight, or are you just gonna play?" I'm like, "I did two songs. You didn't?" He's like, "That was you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was me. What do you mean?"
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that,
That
that
good,
that was
eh?
pretty funny. I mean, it's okay,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So it's obvious you grew up on music. Your dad DJ, and music was always a big part of your life. So what drew you to the acting world?
Acting, yeah. So it's, as I said, like the things that I remember is it's lyrics. Obviously now scripts and stuff, but monologues and stuff. Depending on my interest in the film, I know a lot of people remember a lot of quotes from a lot of films, but I remember a lot of quotes from a lot of films. One of my go-to ones that I like to bring up is one that we all already know. It's literally goes something like, "Allow me to share a revelation that I've had during my time here, and it came to me when I tried to classify your species, and I realized that you're not actually mammals. You see, every mammal on this planet instinctively develops a natural equilibrium with their surrounding environment, which humans do not." And I just go through the whole thing. But anyways, obviously that was from The Matrix,
Yeah.
the very first. But yeah, it's all up there, right?
Yeah.
So just watching movies from early ages, TV shows and stuff. especially when I watch it multiple times. And growing up with my siblings, there are seven of us. So growing up with my siblings back and forth, like when you're exchanging lines like that, you're bound to remember quite a bit of them. So that's generally what drew me to the acting world.
Right on. So, what is your like the biggest role you would say you have, and what is your dream role in the industry?
Well, I mean, biggest role versus more the role that I've had the most fun in is kind of borderline there. So I guess biggest role would kind of be like movie wise. So it'll probably have to be a feature film called Hero. So that was filmed right a good amount here, some in London, England, some in the Caribbean because it was about um, uh, it was about slavery and stuff like that as well. But it had some good names in it. I had a small role in it, nothing huge, but it had like its nice world tour and stuff. It had a name that we all know, Joseph Marcel. In other words,
Oh,
the
right.
butler from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So
Yeah,
we had him. I mean, obviously they did his scene in London, but
yeah.
we for the meet and greet and stuff like that. I got a couple pictures with him. I posted that on
Oh,
my Instagram
nice.
and stuff. So I guess in big movie wise, I guess that'll be that. If it's not that, then the RoboCop reboot back in 2013. So I was one of the soldiers in that one. It was
Right on.
pretty cool how they revamped the U of T to look so futuristic. Like it was
Yeah,
my very first time seeing all the attachment to the cars, where it looks like they're hovermobiles and stuff like that. It was
yeah.
awesome. Back then, I was a huge Call of Duty fan, and we actually were, equipped with all the actual guns and stuff from the game. Obviously,
Oh,
non-loaded
nice.
and stuff. We had like a huge safety training and stuff. But aside from that, like, yeah, no, it was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had on set.
Right on.
And yeah, so it stays with me.
What, did you have a lot of struggles breaking into the industry, or was the path just like right there for you?
Oh, I had some of the most struggles actually because when I started, I'm one of those that because like I said, like since I was 19, I've always had like 2 to 3 jobs at once. So I never really figured out what I wanted to do because essentially what happened is I would learn something, get really good at it, and then I would get bored after. Right? Like technically, I'm supposed to be like a licensed mechanic because I did like my 5 years. I did the apprenticeship and stuff like that. But some stuff didn't work out with the shop and their mechanical license and stuff. So the paperwork didn't get fully signed. But aside from that, like I would have still been bored even after that. So when I was 27, I mean, I tried when I was 19, and I realized that you might need some money to start up. Because when you're 19, you just move out of your parents' place, and you don't have much. It's
Yeah,
you probably want to be in a little bit of a better place.
yeah.
So yeah, I tried again when I was 27, when I was a lot more in a lot more stable position financially, and so pretty much jumped into it. I was just thinking about it at the time, and I'm just like, well, I mean, it probably looks good if you have an agent on your resume. It shouldn't really matter which one, right? So I kind of started off with a scam agent. So I,
Damn.
I was one of those, you know. So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it helped me to kind of be a hunter and survive, right? So it put me
Mhm.
in like instant survival mode because what would happen is like a couple months after I would go to auditions, and obviously the whole game of acting is networking. I don't care who you are. Like if you're not networking, then you're not doing it. You know, doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you know. If you're not networking, you're
100.
not doing it.
Yep.
So I would talk to other actors and I would say, well, how much do you pay a month? And then they mean like, and then they say, what do you mean? And I said, well, like to your agent, like how much do you pay your agent per month? I'm like, I pay $100. How much do you pay? Like, well, what do you mean you pay your agent per month? I'm like, yeah, I have a monthly fee, and I was stuck in a 2-year contract, and I had a
Yeah.
startup fee, and I had all these fees, right? But I thought that's how it was, and I didn't really have anybody to really rely on and stuff like that, which is brings me to my next point. So even now, like I would have so many people starting out or people looking into get into the industry, and because of what I went through, I try to make sure to shift through all those avenues
Yeah.
and give them like a fighting chance, give them like a nice list of agencies and where to look for stuff, and and just a lot of resources so that they can start with just a non-scam agent and just a good foot, you know, just a good place to start.
No, that's great to hear because you started off with someone like that, and you're giving that advice to new and up and comers. It's great to see that in the industry, just trying to help others break in and get their foot in the door. Did you
But
have anyone reach out to you and be like, "Yeah, you should do this," or maybe you should start trying to network more, or is it all you learned on your own from trial and error?
most of what I've known, like, yeah, nobody's ever, believe it or not, actually like reached out and said, "Hey, by the way, you can do this, or you can do that." A lot of it is just me asking all the questions and stuff. It's funny because when I just started, like back in 2011, um, I was just very shy and whatnot. Like I didn't, so even like a lot of this, like I would have all the nerves. I probably wouldn't be able to find my words and be sweating like crazy. So with doing a couple of smaller gigs like student films and stuff like that, the karaoke was like the big breakout. You know what I mean? Like the karaoke because when I was learning from my boss like how to actually host the show, and like hearing him call all the names and say, "Oh, well, that was Tony with Don't Stop Believing." It was great. Now we're gonna have Cindy up next, and she's gonna rock our world with some, Queen or whatnot. You know what I mean? And just having like that kind of vibe, I was like scared out of my pants just to even think about myself being in that role. And eventually, it just came, and then performances wasn't so bad. So that came right along for like the acting world as well, just like approaching people and say, so like where do you find your castings and how do you find this agent and how if I wanted to do some modeling, how would I do that? And the same stuff for music, like where do you find your beats? Where do you do this? Where do you do that? So it's a lot of trial and error. Not everybody likes to talk, because sometimes you ask somebody something and then they kind of like give you a standoffish attitude kind of thing, like we're not all in this together,
Yeah,
like we're competing or something.
yeah,
But it's just like no, you just got to keep going with it. I remember something from my because I went to Second City as well. So I did a lot of improv training there, and my teacher there, Ed Sahili, really good teacher. He said something to me that stuck with me. It was he's just like because a lot of people think that actors are all extroverts, but he's just like a lot of us are introverts. We're just extroverted when we have to be. So when it comes to stuff like networking, like you need to be extroverted for a lot. Like you need to act extroverted at least. You know what I mean? Because it's
yeah.
gonna benefit you and it might benefit somebody else that you know, kind of thing. And then it comes back full circle, right? And a lot of my work now in the last couple of years has primarily been through networking, right? Yeah.
That's an interesting take. I will say I also am an introvert, and it's just like it's that ability to be able to turn it on and turn it off that really helps in front of the camera. Now,
hmm
as you do music, you're working in front of a live audience a lot of times, especially when you did your karaoke, and I'm sure with your rap music now. Do you find it easier to perform in front of an audience, or do you prefer just being on a set with a bunch of workers?
in all honesty, the electrifying energy of performing in front of an audience it's unbeatable. Uh, because yeah, like especially like when I go to a karaoke venue and I just start singing some Sean Paul,
Yeah,
right? And just everybody just stop what they're doing. Not to say that I'm anything special, but it's just like it's I do a pretty like I think I do a pretty decent impersonation of or impression of Sean Paul,
yeah.
Shaggy, and all those guys, right? So it's just like yeah, once I start doing a lot of that, people just start paying attention and the cheering starts, and then they start taking out their phones. A good one for me is I also like sing, believe it or not, I sing Punjabi and Hindi songs as well, just to
Oh,
throw,
right on.
throw that out there. So
Yeah,
I remember, and I also bartend as well, because as I said, Husslaah, right? So I also
yeah,
bartend as well. So the other day when I was bartending, I overheard this Indian person and a couple of his buddies. He was talking about his friend's wedding. So then I just butted in and I was just like, hey, let me know if you need a wedding singer at all. And he's like, oh, you sing? Oh, well, like what kind of songs do you sing? I'm like, what language do you speak at home? He's like, I speak Punjabi. So then I started singing a Punjabi song, and then they all started going nuts. They pulled out their phones. So I don't know if you know Bollyville and Bramley Road, like the,
yeah.
the the social media site. So they actually one of them got the video on Bramley Road, and it was
Oh,
getting like all these crazy views,
oh,
right? But
right
it's just
on.
like, and I think they tagged it with something like, "Oh, when you live in Brampton too long." But yeah, so that's with stuff like that, right? You just
Yeah,
that energy from people, that reaction from people, it's just
yeah,
it's not the same like being on a film set. Obviously, that stuff is really good too. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But that's just its own kind of energy.
Right on. I heard like especially now with COVID, um, a lot of us at the start and during the first pandemic became COVID alkies. Were you in that group as well?
Um, Not really. I mean, I don't want to say I was most ambitious during COVID because I think my problem is I'm too ambitious, so I'm always doing all these things and trying to not spread myself too thin.
Yeah.
But during COVID, I did actually buy a franchise for a liquor delivery company, so I was always kind of just
Oh,
I never really stopped, right?
right on.
My issue is there's never enough hours during the day.
Right on.
So yeah, so I was doing that. I was doing some other work on the side as well, and I still like even last year. Before last year, I guess this is sort of a plus. Before last year, I was putting out like maybe a song per year kind of thing because I wasn't so fully immersed in it. I mean, I would do things on my own, but I would never like just think of just doing a song from start to finish and just put out as many as I can. But last year I decided after trying to pitch for factory grants and whatnot, but that I was gonna put out an EP. So that was like my huge project from last year. I released that on the 24th of September, and that with the feedback from that alone inspired me to do a couple of collaborations even after that, and like even this year the plan is to put out, believe it or not, to put out at least one song a month. So
Oh,
12 songs this year. It's not
right
really a
on.
New Year's resolution. It's just my own kind of internal thing that commitment that I made to myself. But
Right.
not only that, is the because for myself, because of all these different musical genres and backgrounds that I grew up with, um, it's when you hear my sound, it's just like it's I don't want to say it's hard to pinpoint who I sound like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you would hear one song and then you'll hear another song. It's like I know it's the same voice, but it just sounds like it's just a different genre, a different feel, or whatnot.
Yeah.
So the goal with these 12 songs is the hope that I can at least narrow it down to like a specific niche,
Mhm.
so that hopefully for 2023 I can just put out a full album and be more than confident that it'll be highly marketable because that's kind of what I'm going for now is the marketability as opposed to just putting out a song just for the sake of putting out a song.
Yeah. No, that's pretty awesome. It's just like I love to hear anyone who actually used COVID to their benefit. I know for myself, I took my brand to that next level in that time, and anyone else who did is like, it just shows like you don't let the boredom. When you're that ambitious, you're that much of a go-getter. Just shows that you want it. So there's
Oh
one
yeah.
question I gotta ask. You've done a lot of work in Toronto. I know you're in Brampton, but I want to ask you a question and hopefully you can give me the answer. Where is the best place in Toronto to get a Jamaican beef patty?
Oh well, that's got to be Randy's on Oakwood and Eglinton.
Yeah, Randy's okay. Okay. I
Yeah,
gotta
that's I
try it
mean that
out.
Randy. You can't beat a Randy's patty, right? That's just what it is.
Yeah, okay. I haven't tried Randy's. It's definitely being added to the list.
Yeah.
Now, I do a food series called Fat Kid Tuesday. What is the
Okay.
one spot I should do an episode on?
Oh, well, I don't know if I'm the best person to answer that because I like what I like and I kind of like eat at the same place and most of it is either Jamaican food or Jamaican food. Um, um, so I don't even know if the same places are still around. I live in Mississauga now because I used to live in Scarborough for a number of
Yeah,
years. Like there was a place called Sensimilia. It was
yeah,
by VP in Eglinton. They were pretty good. Just south of Eglinton on VP. They keep changing the grocery store, but it was like a Fresco at one point and a Price Shop at one point, but within that plaza there.
yeah,
So they were like just phenomenal. It was this older Jamaican lady, and prices were great, and the food is obviously delicious, which is why I keep going back. Because a lot of
right on.
places try to do like jerk chicken and a stew chicken and curry goat and all, and it's just not the same. So
Yeah,
if you're looking for like the wholesome, true taste of
yeah,
Jamaican food, like I would say this place called Sinsemilla.
since
Sinsemilla.
familiar. No,
Yeah,
I can feel it. I'm Trini, and it's just like there's only certain roti shops that I can go to in the city because it's like they're
yeah,
not all. They don't give you that, especially when you have your parents cooking the real stuff.
yeah,
You kind of get used to a certain standard.
yeah.
So, what would you say are your long-term goals in both the music and the film industry? You've kind of let us know you
Long
have the goal with the 12 songs this year, but further than that, I'd say.
Well, I'll go acting first because acting is obviously a lot of it. It's a bit of an easier one to answer. It's the goal is I think for most actors is to land that series regular role on some big Netflix show. But obviously it's there are a lot of steps in order to get there, right? So just working on the things now to try to open up avenues such as that would be I recently signed with an agent in a much higher tier than the agent that I was with before. So that's a huge step for myself. I signed up and I started doing some classes with one of the biggest schools in on I'll just say Toronto just to make sure for acting. It's Louis Beaumander Acting Studios.
Right.
A lot of big names obviously has gone through there. It's funny because Keanu Reeves at his award show actually thanked Louis Beaumander, who because he
Uh-huh.
trained here, because obviously Toronto,
Right.
just the other day in his speech, right, kind of thing. So it's
Yeah.
that well-renowned school. So I've done a session with them already, and already signed up for one. We actually start tonight, actually after this at 7, and yeah, so that's going on for another 6 weeks. So it's just working on your tools and stuff to help you get there because it doesn't just happen. You actually have to do the work.
Mhm.
Um, so that's like my kind of long-term goal with acting. Obviously, I've done quite a bit over the years, whether it's short film, feature film, um, even series work, but I haven't landed like an actual series regular where you're on for the obviously the whole series.
Yeah.
So that is my long-term goal.
Mhm.
For music-wise, I think it's um it's definitely the album, but aside from that, a huge goal for myself would be to do some live shows. And I released a song back in believe it or not, February 2020, called "Burning It All," and that song was like my biggest track at the time, still one of my biggest tracks. But we're going to be doing a music video for that, even though because COVID pushed a lot of that stuff back. But we're still going to do the music video for it because the camera team and whatnot were all stoked for it. But that was the song that I was going to use to start doing those shows and stuff, and then obviously the world shut down. So now that after I've done this EP, I believe that I have quite a few songs that I can definitely open up a show with. So that's going to be like a huge goal for myself so that hopefully by the time I do release an album, I would have already performed at multiple venues, my own songs, not karaoke songs. Um, then that would be something a big achievement for myself.
All right. So, what would be like? What role would be ideal? You want to be a series regular? What type of character would you want to be? What would be ideal for you?
Um, I know it's a common answer, but it is something dramatic. For myself, I generally get typecasted as a cop or a teacher or professor or a detective. The detective roles they just like to give me. I don't know why. For commercial world, it's like the dad role and stuff. But I guess they just see me a little bit more serious until like we have this interaction, and then they say,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, well, he's the he's got all this personality." But even so, yeah, no, I've even in my demo reel, it's a lot of those kind of either teacher or boss or manager kind of type roles. So a couple shows that I would have loved to have been on would have been like Suits or Designated Survivor or stuff. Yeah, like as like one of the FBI or a suit just be like one of the lawyers and stuff like that. So that would be like a nice role for myself. Aside from that, obviously anything in the comedy realm
Right.
would be great and ideal.
Right.
It would be nice. So one of my friends who I grew up with here. Well, I mean, we acted in quite a few things, but I've acted with him since 2013. Brandon McKnight. I don't know if you heard of the name, but you might
Yeah.
have. So
Yeah.
he was in Toronto. We were with the same agent at one point. So he landed the series regular role on The Flash. So he is Chester
Oh.
P. Runk on The Flash, right? So he's been
Oh.
in Vancouver for the last 3 or 4 years or whatnot. It filmed
Yeah.
like 21 episodes, and he's just on for more and more. So like his role in that would be like a nice role, like
Hmm.
for myself, because obviously we're friends because we got like the same kind of traits and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Both like comedy stuff. We both like that excitement. I think
Yeah.
one of his main things to say is like, "What up, party people?" And it's like have like that kind of like energy, right? So that would be like a nice role for myself, where I'm not necessarily playing myself, but it is a good extension of myself.
Right on. So, if
Yeah.
you can collab with anyone music-wise, living or dead, who would it be?
It'll probably be Tech Nine or Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
Maybe Sean
Okay.
Paul,
Right on.
actually. Yeah, top three. Sorry,
Right
Busta Rhymes,
on.
Tech Nine, Sean Paul.
Right on.
Yeah,
So we're
because
gonna wrap. No,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, because yeah, so I talk about Sean Paul so many times. So just for your viewers or whatnot, a nice little thing that I like to do is I like to I do the remix of the "Give Me the Light" one, right? Which is like, just give me the light, I'm past the Joe. What's another buffalo more? You let me know my sight and I got to know which one is gonna catch my flow. Cause I got my vibes and I got my dough. What's another buffalo more? You let me looking hype and I got to know. So me go say then, clap on no one, I miss a clap on no one. Boss in the person no for clap on no one. So me a Sean Paul, listen come to create a plan. Go a dance out, bust it up and meet up a clan. Tell them never different the level, but the dirty the man. Tell them the bass and the travel music and the whip. Right? So like so that's
Yo,
why
yo,
and Sean
yo.
Paul, right?
If I was you're playing the CD first, if I closed my eyes, I would have saw
Yeah.
Sean Paul. That was amazing, brother. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
well, so yeah, so it'll be those are my top three for sure.
Right on. So we're gonna wrap up right now. Where can everyone find you on social media, Martin?
So yeah, you can on Google even you just type in Martin Huss or even just Husslaah, because even with Husslaah, I'm the only one that spells my name that way. I know that there's a lot of us out there, but I'm the only one that spells my name that way. Instagram would probably be a nice avenue, but just about any of my social medias, it has my link tree, and in
Yeah,
my link tree, it has all my links, whether it's IMDb or whatnot. So
yeah.
any of those, but on Instagram, it's just Husslaah, Husslaah. But you can still just go on Google and just type that in, or Martin Huss, and everything will come up anyway.
All right, peeps. You'll get that link tree link down below in the description of the video. Thank you so much for joining us, Martin. It's been awesome talking to you today. Stay good, peeps, and keep it blitz.
The urban franchise, Tony Montana. Gonna sit at the desk for guessing. Show you what they're about to, tell you who they are. Let them promote what they got going on and show you guys how awesome they are. Cause if they weren't awesome, they wouldn't be on the show. It is down to talk with Tony Montana, baby. We have the most, and 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 we have the most.